Hello, welcome, good morning, good evening, and this is Social Q. I'm your host, Gilly Moros. This is Noah Pagan. Noah, say hi to the people.
Hi.
And this is another sub episode. This is a emergency episode because we have had a huge number of news revolving around COVID-19. As a disclaimer, before we begin, we will say COVID a lot this episode, so we don't give a fuck if YouTube demonetizes it. We don't even make money, so it doesn't even matter at this point.
We aren't even monetized.
We're not even that famous enough. Okay, now on to the news here. There is a lot going on in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have President Trump getting the virus. We have Mike Parson, our governor of Missouri, got it. A couple of updates on the city of Springfield and the county of Greene County, the status of Missouri State University, our school where we go to, and also if you're into sports, an update on what's going on in the NFL, MLB, and NBA. So that's a lot to take in, and we're going to dissect each one of those individually right after this short break. And we're back. Sorry, that's a reference to a YouTube channel I watch. I'll put a link into a video for them. I don't know which. I'll just pick a random one and put a link to it in the description. All right. So first, we're going to go backwards here. We're going to start with sports. The NFL has had its fair share of wave of COVID cases this week, actually. The first 2 weeks went smoothly. All the games were played, and everyone was excited about the NFL being back and everything. Week 3, I think there was a couple scares, and now we're in week 4, and there's a couple of stories going on. First, the Tennessee Titans. 16 members of the organization of the Tennessee Titans have tested positive for COVID-19. 8 of whom are players. So their game against Pittsburgh is postponed. I'm not sure exactly how you're going to postpone a football game because their schedule is packed already.
Kind of a rigid schedule, isn't it?
Yeah. So next we have the Kansas City Chiefs.
Backup quarterback got.
Well, no, it was
the
practice quarterback.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like a third string quarterback.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The quarterback who plays in practice, stuff like that, but he's not on the active roster.
Okay.
So I think they were scheduled to play the New England Patriots this week. That got postponed because their starting quarterback, Cam Newton, tested positive for COVID. So there's a bit of a scare because, reigning Super Bowl MVP and Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we know me and Noah are huge fans of the Chiefs. We have been our entire lives. Yeah. And we see ourselves as big fans of Mahomes. And, how can you not? The guy's amazing. And he's 3-4 years older than us?
That's right.
Yeah. So, it's pretty exciting to watch him play, and you don't really want anything to happen, too drastically that, it ruins our chances. But, sports it's just a sports mentality.
Yeah.
And moving on to more, general.
Is Mike Parsons recovered already? Though I feel like at this point he's on the road to recovery. I haven't heard anything new about it.
We will cover that in a little bit, but for Springfield, Greene County, so currently the number of cases has gone up to 7,287. The number of deaths is 87, so a bit of a breather there. Currently hospitalized 117. Currently in ICU is 19. It looks like it's on the decline. They said that it's been slowing down a little bit. Next we have Missouri State University. Right now, as of this week, they have confirmed 55 cases in the last 7 days, 10 less, about 10 or 11 less than last week. As you know, they spiked in, I think, late August when school started, so that was kind of expected. You know, it was kind of like how were we going to deal with this new, way of daily task and everything.
To be completely honest, I don't think the school should have even convened because we could have done everything online, but I don't know. I can't really say it's gone well. We have so many cases.
There's a lot of cases, like I think over half of them are off campus residents.
Yeah, and the thing is, the president of the school acts like nothing's going on, and he's like totally unresponsive to what anybody says.
Yeah, if you follow Cliff Smart on social media, I follow him on Twitter. He has done some like active like surveying, I guess, of the student body and everything, but for the most part, he's just been silent about a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, the school's priorities really are more about getting more money for the school, and that's kind of apparent.
Yeah, that's something we need to work on.
Yeah, but it's just how it is, I guess. I'm kind of surprised nobody started a protest here.
Yeah, I think it was really hard to organize because of.
I mean, we've been trying to organize stuff based off of it.
So like I think it's mostly because people don't want to be near each other right now.
Yeah.
And like being those types of crowds. All right, so next update is going to be the Mike Parson COVID-19 thing. On the update with it, I think it's KY3 says that he's doing well. He's not having any big symptoms that you would expect from having COVID, and that his recovery looks to be a smooth and clean one. So, I mean,
it's contrasted by what's going on with our president.
Yes, that's moving on to our next update on COVID-19. The biggest news of the week, other than the debate, other than the NBA Finals, which, by the way, has not had any COVID cases pop up. The reason is because they've been in a bubble this whole time for the, I think, past 3 months. So, I mean, it's good that they are staying away and staying precautionary and keeping the players in one location so they don't contract the virus. But it's another thing that they have to stay away from all their loved ones and pretty much not be in contact with anyone in the outside world. And so they had to stay in this bubble in Orlando, Florida. This has taken a mental toll on them because they can't see their loved ones and people they care about. Like, there's no outside contact at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy how they have a well organized bubble, whereas like the White House didn't have anything like that. You would think that they would implement something like that. You would think
they'd be like the most precautious in this like.
I mean, of course,
pandemic.
This is not a very coherent administration. I mean, they don't. I mean, I'm not trying to say that the whole administration doesn't really believe in COVID being a threat, but Donald Trump doesn't really give us any indication that he takes this seriously. So, I mean, he's also been at events where he just didn't wear masks.
Yeah, I have noticed that, and I have seen videos of him just being out there. I mean, he's not like up against the crowd and like shaking hands with everyone, weirdly kissing babies. I always found that weird that presidents did that. Like, even I always found that weird that candidates did that. Even like candidates I liked, I don't want them kissing babies.
I don't think they still do that, but I think that used to be a thing.
Don't kiss babies you don't know. I'm just saying.
Especially with the Rona.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a new thing going on right now.
But, like...
Okay, so the update on Trump is that he's doing fine.
Well, okay. So there's conflicting reports. So from sources at the White House, they've basically been saying that he's been doing okay. But people, like reporters who are stationed near the White House, are like basically their whole job is like getting information on the president and stuff like that. From their sources, they've had some people who worked over at Walter Reed talk to them, and they said that Trump definitely needed oxygen. He needed assistance in breathing because he had some trouble with that, so he needed like a ventilator at one point.
Didn't you say that he he said he had a heart attack or something?
No, he didn't have a heart attack. That would be huge. I'm pretty sure that we would know about it. But reports came in that he had a panic attack after hearing the news that he had COVID. I'm sorry that it's just like it's kind of like karma, to be honest. I'm gonna be a little bit brutal on this. I don't really like. Obviously, I don't like Donald Trump. I think he's a terrible person. So it's kind of like poetic justice. He had reportedly a panic attack, and some sources are saying that he was, freaking out about it. That might have been the initial thing that sent him to Walter Reed. Because he thought he thought it might have been a heart attack, because panic attacks can manifest
They
into
they
feel like a heart attack, but I don't know if that's true. I feel like that may or may not be true. The rest of it sounds pretty on track with what we know, considering Trump's heart conditions and health conditions and risk factors. It wouldn't surprise me if he needed oxygen, but his team doesn't seem. I mean, I wouldn't trust, honestly, the White House on this information, because they've always been secretive about this. So
they have to be. I mean, he's the leader of the free world.
Well, I feel like his administration's been more secretive in general, because Donald Trump doesn't want to seem weak. It's just kind of a thing.
Well, that's for every president.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, if you look at the administration during FDR.
Okay, yeah, but that was like a different time. I really do think that like his administration's uniquely just kind of like goes around things.
You're talking about like unnecessary things?
I mean, I think they
because there is some level of secrecy that the administration would need to adhere to.
The public is entitled to knowing the condition of the president, but like I think Donald Trump himself has an ideology where he wants to appear very strong. So I think his administration goes even farther, and that they don't really send out any information that is bad about his health.
All right.
Kind of like whenever he came back, he was saying, "Oh, I'm getting in on my physical." Whenever he unexpectedly went to Walter Reed that one time.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, so now that we've updated you on everything, we will now discuss what we think going forward with all this information we gave you. So they've canceled the debates, didn't they?
They canceled. They've postponed the presidential one. I don't know about the vice presidential one.
The vice presidential one looks to be on track.
Looks like it's still going to be coming.
I'm pretty sure the next debate will be postponed or canceled completely.
The next debate is going to be the vice presidential one, but the next presidential debate.
Yeah, the presidential one, I mean. How do you think this is going to affect each campaign?
Well, right now, the fact that Donald Trump's not going to have a chance to redeem himself, maybe, possibly, very soon.
I mean, he very clearly needs to say something. Especially after he's contracted the virus.
I think his campaign's on sort of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation right now. It's kind of,
it's suffocating at the moment.
It's really not doing well, mainly because of COVID. And I don't know if the president, if he'll get a bump at all in support because he is in the hospital. I mean, that's the tricky thing about politics and like with presidential races. Sometimes people will get bumps for weird things in their polling numbers. And I don't know.
You think people will be sympathetic?
Yeah.
Because they contracted the virus?
Possibly. I've thought about that. I don't know of any precedent in that thinking. It's just more of just a me thing. I think that's a possibility, though. I think it's a possibility that he could get a bump. I don't think he'll lower. I don't think he'll surpass Biden in a bump, but I think that it's possible that him getting COVID could give him a bump. And also, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, like, if he ends up dying, which is a distinct possibility because
he's over 70.
Yeah, so, 1 in 10 people in his age group, and we're not even, I don't think, talking about his risk factors, his obesity and other things.
Apparently, very unhealthy person.
Apparently, 1 in 10 die. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was 1 in 10.
Okay, so what's going to happen if he were to kick the bucket because of COVID?
So that would mean Pence is the nominee.
Doesn't that automatically go to the vice president?
Yeah. I believe it would be Pence. But the thing is, the tricky part of that is that many people have already voted. So Donald Trump has votes for him already.
That is true. Do those votes go to Pence?
That's the thing that they'd have to work out. That's never happened.
Because they voted for his.
That's never happened
for the campaign of
Donald Trump himself.
Of Donald Trump / Mike Pence, because he's the vice president connected to Donald Trump. So
yeah, but they were voting for him.
They were voting for Donald Trump, but they were voting for his ticket,
mm-hmm.
and on his ticket is the vice president of Mike Pence.
Yeah.
So they're trying to work out whether or not those votes would go to Mike Pence.
Yeah, so this has never happened in like U.S. history. There's no precedent for it.
Duh. This is just a crazy time.
If he died, I mean, it's weird. The media has not talked about it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because
they don't want to bring this scare up.
I guess that's why.
Why would if it's a 10% chance because it's 1 in 10 of his age group, and it's a little bit higher because of his health problems. If it's a 10% chance, I don't think the media's not gonna like put this in the forefront if there's like a very slim margin that he could die from this. I mean, he could get very sick and this could affect him on the long term. That's another possibility that we're looking at here. Like, how would this affect, if he were to be reelected, how would this affect his next 4 years?
Yeah, questions of his like health and how it might have been compromised might be brought up. Yeah, so basically they would have to. I think they'd have to work it out in the Electoral College or some shit, and then there's a bunch of things they'd have to do, if he ended up dying or being incapacitated.
Well, no, I'm talking about like his health, like him being for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know how that might affect him. I mean, it might end up. It could. I mean, depending on how hard it would hit him, it could end up to where it would cause him to have some sort of heart issues later on.
Well, could he be bedridden?
I don't know. I don't know. I know for some people it's hit them like that, but yeah, I mean that is a possibility. And in that case, I mean, I don't know if he was bedridden, wouldn't they have to send it over to Pence to be president?
I think he wouldn't be sworn in, but he'd take on the duties of presidency.
Yeah, that's odd to think about.
So he'd be inactive. We're in a limbo right now of like possibilities of what we could end up with or what could happen. I mean, we're going down through the list of things that could happen with the Trump presidency and the Trump campaign. What do you think? How do you think this is affecting the Biden campaign?
I honestly think, disregarding the whole possibility of a bump because of people being sympathetic to the president, I think in general it's good for the Biden campaign because the longer that Biden doesn't have to speak is probably better for Biden.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, definitely.
I mean that strategy has really carried them the whole way.
There's so many things going in his favor. You're wondering when is his luck gonna run out. And
yeah,
I'm hoping it's not on election day. At this point,
I think it's a distinct possibility that Biden's going to win because I think it's a different race than 2016.
You could trust them a little more, and there's more of a chance that they're
Let me
right.
look at polling numbers right now. I don't even
Yeah.
know if any new ones came up, but there's a recent poll that came up where Biden was leading Trump by 13 points. A 13-point lead. This is a general poll. And if he keeps an average like that, sounds like that's not good for Trump at all. Okay. Oh, found it. I don't know how I found it, but I did. So Biden's average right now, it seems to be, is still 7 point. It's in the sevens. It's in 7.8. The sevens.
It's in the sevens. Okay, so right now he's leading by less than 10 points in the polls. So it's a pretty small but also significant margin.
Yeah, 7.8 is pretty good.
So now flipping it to the other side of the political spectrum here, Biden's campaign, he was on stage with Trump, and did they confirm that he did in fact have the virus while on the debate stage?
Yeah, he did. He had to have had it.
Okay, so there is a possibility that
Biden might get it.
he could have contracted it through that interaction, even though he was 6 feet apart and they had social distancing in place and everything. They didn't wear masks because they didn't find it necessary, but there is a possibility that Biden did contract it from that interaction. So what would happen if Biden did have COVID?
No, that's an interesting scenario. I think, honestly, I think if Biden got it, and this is just me, he seems like it would be it would easily kill him. To be honest,
Like it's just the virus would just kick his ass.
I feel like physically, I think Biden's a little bit better off than Trump. But man, I don't know. I think it might. I feel like there would be maybe a good chance that it would hurt him more. I don't know why. But
Going into the extremes, if he were to kick the bucket, like we did with Trump's scenario, how would that work for Harris?
okay, well, let's think about first the more likely scenario of if Biden got it and then he died, and then Harris was the nominee. They would have to pick a vice presidential nominee pretty quick. By the way, quicker than normal.
Well, I think if Biden were on the verge of dying, I'm pretty sure they would have one lined up.
Yeah.
Okay, because
I almost wonder whether or not they even have one already lined up.
I don't think so. I don't think they have one lined up.
Like as a contingency.
No, I don't think so. They're not that
prepared.
They're not that prepared. They probably have like a couple They probably have like a couple of people, like a handful of people they could pick from to make it easier on them. But I don't think they have one person in mind instantly.
Yeah.
Like their go-to person. I think they have a pool of people already ready for them to pick from, and so they just give them the names and they have to decide.
Yeah.
In terms of having Harris be the nominee,
I think.
how do you think that would fare in the election?
I think it would. This is just going for my gut, and maybe this is wrong, but I get the impression that, or at least from what I've seen in the past, that Harris doesn't poll as well as Biden in popularity. Whenever they're going through, like, she was one of the, I think, top possible candidates, I think. But, like, the top possible candidate for vice president was Bernie and Elizabeth Warren. Whenever people were being polled. And then Nina Turner was also really like one that people were really wanting. Obviously, it wasn't going to happen. But I don't think Kamala was like the most popular ever. Like, she was kind of middling. Bernie by far was the most popular, and then followed by Warren. So in terms of her popularity, she doesn't have the nostalgia factor. And then also, like, people don't know much about her. So, like, those attacks, like the socialist, Marxist attacks, I mean, although they're not true, and I wish they were more like they were more socialist, like, but like those attacks that they use on her for some reason, trying to call her radical that the Republicans use. I can't help but wonder whether or not that would actually affect how people would vote. The fear-mongering and all that would affect her more.
Would affect her more than
Biden.
What it's doing to Biden right now.
Yeah, it's not really. I don't really feel like it's affecting Biden because. Yeah, I don't really feel like
he has the time in office where like he can just shrug off all those lies and attacks because it's obviously not true.
Because he's already been vice president.
Yeah, so it's not like they're like shooting darts at something.
Yeah, but with Kamala, I feel like those attacks would stick more, and maybe it wouldn't be so much of a negative thing.
Is it because she's such of an unknown candidate?
It's it's really more of a blank canvas. Okay. But I mean, also she was like funded by Trump. Like she's been funded by tons of executives of different industries. Literally, Trump has sent money to her before Trump was president. He sent money to her campaign.
Well, I think Trump at that point was playing like all sides.
So she was not at all like a socialist. I mean, she had terrible policies that affected, also like disproportionately affected black people within California. Like really hurt a lot of black and brown folk. She had a truancy program where basically like some kids weren't being sent to school, the parents could go to jail for it and stuff like that. Literally, like she could send you to jail, like they could send you to jail for that, and she was like very much in support of that. She's definitely not what the people want to like, what the Republicans want to call her. But I do think those attacks would stick more. I mean, because she's tried to signal that she's more progressive, and I think that's just because of the political climate of California. I think she's forced to try to look more progressive to be more appealing to them because a lot of them have some like have a progressive streak in them. I mean, California, I think, is one of the more progressive states. So I do think those attacks though would stick more.
Yeah,
I think she would be in a worse off
So you think
position.
they wouldn't be able to fare as
I think there would be more of
Biden.
and honestly, I think it'd be more of a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump dynamic.
Yeah, I see that. I see.
Because
I definitely
she does
see
come off as
her as just a robotic, sort of just a puppet for the Democratic Party. I do see,
she comes off as very opportunistic.
Yeah, she's more like what we see in Elizabeth Warren, what progressives see in Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
She's very unpredictable.
Or what normies see in Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. That's more aligning what it is.
Progressives basically see Elizabeth Warren as another Hillary Clinton, to be honest.
Ugh, that's a heavy coat there.
But I mean, at least for me, I'm not speaking for all progressives.
But for Trump versus Harris, it would go to Trump.
Do I think it would go to Trump? I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know if it would. I don't know if it would swing things so much in the way that it would go automatically to Trump, but I think it would be way more of a toss-up.
Now let's think of the biggest scenario: Trump versus Biden kick the bucket, and it's Pence versus Harris.
That's really interesting to me.
I don't know.
I think Pence
how about this? We'll just
Pence
leave it up to the viewers.
Of a piece of bread. He has the charisma of a piece of bread.
A piece of bread. A piece of bread versus
someone who comes off in a very fake and opportunistic way. The thing about Biden is, the reason why I say that is obviously Biden and Clinton are very similar in policy. They're obviously very similar. But the thing is that Biden comes off as more, even if you know a lot of the things that have happened with him, like the things he's done,
which a lot of people tend to ignore.
Yes, a lot of people conveniently tend to ignore that stuff. Even for me, who I know a lot of the bad stuff that's happened, when I listen to him talk, he sounds way more like caring, and he comes off as way more off the cuff, and that's partially because he has a little bit of trouble speaking, but he comes off as more relatable. Oddly enough, he comes off as more relatable whenever he speaks.
I guess
as compared
that's still
to Clinton.
A factor of it.
When you listen to Clinton, you could not relate to her. With Biden, I mean, maybe you could argue, oh well, you both are men, Maybe it's just you're projecting onto him because he's a man. No, well, I don't even like Biden. I hate Biden.
We both do.
We both hate Biden, but like it's the way he speaks as compared to Clinton.
Yeah. She definitely seems more robotic. She seems more structured in what she wants to say and how she wants to say it. Biden, they give him a script. He doesn't follow it sometimes, but he
definitely follows
it goes in his favor.
He follows it in a way that doesn't sound like he's robotic. Or he'll say something like clown, or call Donald Trump's like a clown, which is hilarious.
You can tell that he's sometimes lets his emotions take over.
And people like that.
Yeah.
He comes off as more relatable in the way he speaks.
I've compared that to what Hillary Clinton did back in 2016. If it was between those two for the candidacy, I would pick Biden. Yeah. And I hate both of them. So
I hate both of them with a passion. I mean, we're not even talking about the fact that, I mean, both of the candidates have credible rape allegations on there, on hand, like on record. So, I mean, there's that too.
All right. So we're going to end it here. Thank y'all for listening. Again, this has been Social Q. Follow us on Instagram, Social Q Podcast. There's no space. Just type that in to the search bar. Hopefully we pop up. Follow me and Noah on Twitter. Me at Gilly Morals. Noah at Noah Pagan. Capital N, capital P. Hopefully you tune in this week, because we're very excited to, cover the VP debate, and also we'll be going over a very fun topic. It's not that all serious. It'll be over, conspiracy theories in politics. So, just the whack jobs, wackadoos, crazy people, stuff like that, thinking this is going on. Wackaboobs. This is going on under the radar. No one knows about it. So we'll be going over that, different types of conspiracy theories, stuff like that. If you do happen to know of one and want us to talk about it, please comment under this video, and then we'll possibly see it before we record that one. Thank you very much. Social Q out.